So you name the war after the people you fought. This is the Jewish war. It isn't that the Jews were fighting it. It's the Roman war against the Jews, glorifying the Flavian family. For that, Josephus gets a pension in Rome, adoption into the imperial family itself, the addition to his name from now on of Flavius, because he's a member of the Flavian family by adoption. He's a big success. He's like the Henry Kissinger of his day. He gets really into the corridors of power through his activities. Okay, so temple purity is the key. The Dead Sea Scrolls we found are all into the idea of purity, both personal and purity of the temple. When we get into Acts, we're going to get a really interesting episode where Peter is on a rooftop in Jaffa. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this episode. And he is about to visit the house of a Roman centurion called Cornelius. How many are familiar with this episode? But he can't visit the house of this Roman general called Cornelius. Why? Because the purity requirements of Jewish law, Mosaic law, would not allow him to go in and do certain things in an impure environment. That is, not proper food, not proper cooking of the food, not proper sexual behavior, not keeping away from women during their periods, because in Jewish law you've got to go and take a bath after these things, after a woman's period, you can't go near. It's all very complicated. How many are familiar with some? I've heard some of the aspects of this. Yeah, it's very complicated. And people say, oh, they're just troublemakers. Well, yeah, they may be troublemakers, but it's not their doing. It's part of the purity regulations of a priesthood. Priesthoods in the ancient time were very concerned about purity regulations. You know, in the Old Testament, they over and over again say, I am going to make you a people of priests. There's a whole ethos of the Old Testament to make the Jews a people of priests. And therefore, they were to have imposed on them all the purity regulations that a priesthood coming near a deity in a temple would have. And that's been their problem. That's still the problem. Everything you hear about kosher, everything you see in ghettos, everything you see up here in Long Beach of the different people dressed in the way they're dressed, all goes back to this purity regulations issue that the Christian Bible was anxious to overthrow. And so anxious that it heaped abuse and scorn on it. It even has Jesus heaping abuse and scorn on it. Whether he did or not, we will discuss. But the point is, Peter testifies, I think, that Jesus did not. Even though the Gospels, as we have them, show Jesus doing so. Why do I say he did not? Because when Peter goes on this rooftop in Jaffa, that we'll make a lot of, a voice cries out from heaven. How many are familiar with that? And as the voice cries out, a tablecloth comes down from heaven. Now, in Talmudic literature, we call that a bat kol, meaning kol is voice and bat is daughter of. A voice that's the daughter of heaven. I guess its spirit is feminine, I suppose. It's well known in Talmudic literature that a voice cries out from heaven to people and does things. In Greek literature, too. So this voice cries out from heaven, this tablecloth comes down, and on the tablecloth are all the foods of the world, including all the Jewish forbidden foods. And since Peter is about to get an invitation to visit a Roman centurion's household, the most polluted of all Romans, the most impure and unholy of all Roman people, having killed and slaughtered and done every other kind of horrible, brutal act. But Peter, according to the authors of Acts, got to go into this guy's house because Christianity has to be preached to everybody, according to the author of this book. That's the author's agenda. So, Peter's on the roof.